Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
I got blocked by Jim Rickards, who's the ultimate gold bug. I got blocked by him yesterday, and I don't understand why, because I'm his biggest fan. Jim Rickards, who I think is one of the smartest guys in finance, blocked me because I showed a clip of his Ice 9 video yesterday, and then I guess I'm assuming he didn't want that to be shown. I don't know. So if Jim Rickards is listening, please unblock me. I was not trying to. In fact, all I did was talk about how smart you were in the video. But I did. This is the clip of the video that I wanted to show you that I didn't show you yesterday. It's at about the 6:30 mark. This is the video, I guess, I'm assuming offended him that I showed it.
Intelligence sound. He gave me a nice gift when we parted ways, a blue Swedish vase. I keep it in my writing studio at my home in Connecticut. But my point is, I came away from all three meetings convinced of one thing. When the next crisis hits, the elites are planning to freeze the financial system, and they'll replace it with a new system, one not based on the US dollar. When that happens, we'll wake up to a very strange and disturbing new reality.
And for our viewers that are watching today, what might their reality look like that morning? How does this manifest?
First, they'll have gone to bed knowing that a massive financial crisis was underway. But when they wake up, they'll find it has worsened and the contagion has spread worldwide. When they go to withdraw money, their ATM will say closed temporarily. When they go to sell stocks, their account will say transaction not available. When they go to their local business, that business will only accept cash if it's open. As citizens realize they're being barred from their money, riots will erupt. It's going to get really bad really quickly.
How would such a freeze actually work? And wouldn't that be highly illegal?
Well, it wouldn't be illegal.
Okay, I just wanted you to see that part. And then I want to show you this because somebody replied. This person, who I don't follow, now I do. They replied with something I showed years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago on this channel. There was a lot of people showing this. And this is Jim Rickards, and he's at this little round table, and I'll show you where it is here in a second. Let me do the refresh button because I want you to hear this clip of Jim Rickards.
Hold on a pallet, fly it in a plane to the other guy, and he puts it in his vault. End of story. And you know, Steve knows better than anyone. When you do things on net instead of gross, it's a much smaller transaction. If you had to pay for everything with gross gold, that's unwieldy. But if you keep score in crypto and then settle up on net, you know, every 6 months or so, that works fine. Now notice everything I just said, there's no dollar, and that was Doug's point. We're looking at the dethroning of the dollar. If we've got gold, Putin's crypto, Xi crypto, a distributed ledger, and a large trading network.
That's right.
Not involve dollars, does not involve SWIFT. Is that the beginning of the end of the dollar? And it might be.
Did you hear what he said? He said Putin's crypto, Xi's crypto, and then a digital ledger, okay? Remember when David Schwartz described how it would work when CBDCs are being built on the XRP ledger? The way I remember him saying it, he was saying, okay, you got these walled gardens, and then the wall comes down, and then they use XRP as a bridge to go to so the way I picture this is the Chinese their crypto, the wall comes down, the digital yuan, then it goes through XRP as a bridge to Russia, then their wall comes down, and it goes into the digital ruby, whatever their currency is, ruble, and so that's how XRP could be a bridge. That's how you could create some type of a compromise, a shared world reserve currency, the way yesterday, what's his face, Jerome Powell said something to the effect that there could be many world reserve currencies or something like that. Okay, so there's that. Now, this is where he was speaking in that little video clip. So it's the Modern Wall Street Roundtable live at Delmonico's featuring Jim Rickards. So I went and found another clip from that same exchange. This is from September 20th, 2018.
There are some cryptos that are working with regulators and are working with banks.
I agree.
Ripple would be an example.
Ripple would be an example, right.
Now, this is and I can imagine in the next 5 years, instead of us doing sterling against the dollar or sterling against yen and doing these types of transactions, we'll do sterling versus Ripple. And the reason being, dollar right now is a 2-day settlement. With something like Ripple, you could do settlement in seconds. And I think that there's a future there where the guy that's trading spot FX today will be trading spot FX against Ripple in the future, in the next 2 or 3 years.
See him nodding
So I
his
think that
head,
Ripple
yes.
has a great future because it's right now supported by all the banks and by all the
Let's
regulators.
go back. Watch,
Sterling versus Ripple.
while this guy's talking about Ripple, look at Jim Rickard's head. He's not shaking his head no and rolling his eyes. Watch his head.
And the reason being, dollar right now is a 2-day settlement. It's something like Ripple, you could do settlement in seconds. And I think that there's a future there where the guy that's trading spot FX today will be trading spot FX against Ripple in the future, in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think that Ripple has a great future because it's right now supported by all the banks and by all the regulators. It hasn't lasted.
Now, it's important. Jim Rickards is not shy about telling you if he thinks you're wrong, and he did not correct that guy in that clip. Okay. Now, there's also another clip of Jim Rickards that's worthy of hearing about XLM.
Merchant acquirer accepts your MasterCard, then they got to hand it over to the local bank. That bank has to send it to a correspondent bank in Sydney, Australia. The bank in Sydney, Australia's got to run it through the Visa network. Then they got to get paid. Then they got to send it back to this little bank. So think of all the steps, all the costs, etc. What if you could replace that with a blockchain? They are doing this, by the way. This is a real pilot. We're using the Lumen token. Well, IBM has built this. Lumen is the token of choice. It's working extremely well. And those value is moving around without going through this clunky central bank network and correspondent bank network that I just described. It's cheaper. That means, people can either lower prices or offer more services. And it's also big on remittances. A lot of commercial acquirers.
So he's aware of both Ripple and XLM. And then there's this. Rob Licker sent me this. Apparently Gary Gensler was on with Jon Stewart, okay? I watched the whole thing. This clip is the best, and I think Stefan Huber he pointed out my first thought when I watched this clip. Let's play the clip and then I'll tell you.
To litigate. This agency has to be willing to go into court and, take some losses from time to time, but go into court.
Right.
I think all of those things, but it's trying to use high-profile cases to bring folks back on the right side of the line to litigate. This agency has to be willing to go into court and, take some losses.
From time to time. Now, somebody that's listening to my voice, because I don't know if we can find this clip. It might be tough to find, but somebody can find it. Somebody knows exactly where it is. We need the clip of Gary Gensler, because Stefan Huber is right. He says, where's this video from? The fall of last year? The fall of last year, Gary was still trumpeting, we haven't lost a case yet. I remember him saying this, folks. This was said. Please help me find that video, because we need to put what he just said at the end of this year. We need to put him saying they've never lost a case at the beginning of the year. That needs to be one video that we can put out, because he did say it, and I don't remember where he said it. Usually these things are delivered up, but that was just one of those random clips that was not at the time as significant to me. But he did say it. We need that, because why would he be saying now that sometimes they're going to lose these cases when he was bragging about how they had never lost last year? So let's find that. Somebody help me out. Now, I did a whistleblower alert on this video, and here's why. Watch what he said. At the beginning, you're going to see something else he said in that interview and what I tacked on.
Limit on the amount that a person could invest in Ethereum.
A person can buy from any number of different type entities. We may limit the unit size of a sale, just to make it easier to disguise. Let's say if you're a whale and you want some privacy, you can buy 50,000 units and so nobody scares people with enormous initial purchase.
I think you get the point, folks. So I did a whistleblower alert, copied Jon Stewart in, copied Chuck Grassley in, because he was mentioned by Gary Gensler there. And then, of course, there's this. And remember, it's not just disguised whales. We know 3 things. We know from the videos I've shown, it's their own words, We know that JP Morgan was involved with Ethereum. They were there before it launched. We know that Goldman Sachs developers were working on the Ethereum project because Charles Hoskinson said it before it was launched. And we know that Andreessen Horowitz was there. They were meeting with Andreessen Horowitz before it was launched, okay? We've got the video. We've seen it, okay? We know that. And the other thing we know is that Ethereum has never been audited. They've never looked at who bought during that pre-sale, that ICO. Nobody knows.
Under a commercial agreement, we will be supporting JP Morgan's Interbank Information Network, the IIN, and JPM Coin Network. So we will be bringing a much more comprehensive enterprise Ethereum solution to not just JP Morgan and the hundreds of financial institutions on their networks, but the additional hundreds of institutions around the world that make use of enterprise Ethereum and that are increasingly starting to make use of public mainnet Ethereum.
Ooh, so there's two things there for me. Obviously, as you've hinted, the network of payment technology that JP Morgan had already created that you're, I assume, going to help develop. But I think there will be people watching this going, hang on a second, is this a traditional bank like JP Morgan perhaps stepping away from crypto, stepping away from blockchain technology and handing it over to one of the experts? Is that this, or are they as dedicated as ever?
Well, it's not my role to speak directly for JP Morgan, but I can confirm that this step indicates that JP Morgan is doubling down on the Ethereum technology.
Okay.
They are their blockchain and Ethereum focused team. They're growing it in the direction of building applications on the...
Yes, and that would be the same Julia Chatterley who had Brad Garlinghouse on her show all the time, up until this SEC versus Ripple debacle started to unfold. Once it's the Ethereum free pass became an issue, she's never covered it since. We've kicked, screamed, begged, and everything, and she won't cover it. And so you have to wonder what's going on over there. Now, Stefan Huber. Holy listen, Ethereum is a matter of U.S. national security. The Ethereum Foundation has entered a long-standing partnership with the Russian government and Russian banks to press ahead with a digital forward agenda under the orders of Russian President Vladimir Putin. And this is a whole article. He's even got the highlights in here of when this deal was signed. Then there's this. Remember, none of the Ethereum people, none of it has ever been audited. And here's Vitalik Buterin. You know, since one of the tactics used by the SEC when they sued Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple, well, the first thing they wanted to do is they tried to highlight, oh, Brad Garlinghouse dumped his share, his XRP, while he was saying that he was long XRP and all this. Well, listen to Vitalik Buterin. Listen to what he did.
But you didn't short it, did you?
So, I did get the Ethereum Foundation to sell about 70,000 ETH, like basically at the top, and that's doubled our runway now. So, and it was one good decision that had a lot of impact, but did not short.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting to see what all of them were saying, what he was saying around the time that he instructed the Ethereum Foundation to dump 70,000 ETH tokens? What was he saying back then?
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.